Hi, this is Steve. Welcome back to my channel, Scale Model Kit Review. In this video, I continue to build the DeAgostini Collectibles Ford GT. I am working on stages 83 through 87. I'll be working on the engine here. If you haven't done so already, head over to DeAgostini Collectibles and subscribe to this car today. I put a direct link in the description below. So without further ado, let's get started. Welcome back to another installment of the DeAgostini Collectibles Build Your Own Ford GT. Now I am working on pack number 18, stages 83 through 87. Now here we'll start working on the engine compartment, wiring, and all the plumbing and such. Some more exhaust stuff too. And real quick here, I'll show you the free gift I received with this subscription. Now this could vary. You may not receive the same thing with yours, so check it out. Head over to DeAgostini Collectibles and see what free gifts you'll receive. But this time I received the winner of Le Mans from 1969, JX and J. Oliver. So this is where 1/43rd scale die-cast car, exact replica of the one we're building right now, right? This is a 1969 GT40. So there you go. Wonderful die cast here, and it looks great. So like I said, your subscription can vary. You may receive different gifts with yours. Let's look at one of the magazines to see what they're about. So we'll look at Stage 84 or Issue 84. It has a really cool article in here, and that's why I picked this one. So we'll open it up. 12 to 13 pages, semi-gloss, and always inspiring articles on Ford products. This time it's the Ford GT90. And look at that car. That's fantastic there, right? So, wonderful article here. Talks about the engine, you know, the maker, how it was designed, who designed it and such. So it's very cool. 720 horsepower. You can imagine this thing flies. Chassis donor, Jaguar XJ 220, very cool. And then of course the instructions, we'll look at those as we get into the stage. And a thoroughbred through and through. They talk a little bit about the engine here, and we'll talk about that too. There you go. So the parts that came with this pack, like I said, all deal with the engine compartment. So in this case, 83, stage 83 is we finish up with the exhaust. Stage 84, we work on the distributor. Stage 85, again on the distributor. Stage 86, some plumbing inside of the engine there. And then stage 87, the rear sway bar. Let's get started with stage 83. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 83. Stage 83, we work on exhaust pipe connectors. So we'll get to complete the exhaust system here. There's the parts. We're going to mount those exhaust pipe connectors to each side. We're going to tie those in together with the dual exhaust. Once again, secure that down. That's what it will look like. And on the actual car, the exhaust system is black, so I'm really not going to do any modifications with this. I want to build this as much stock as possible, but kind of give it some realistic aspects to it. So I may do some little bit of weathering to it, but not much. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's parts for 83. Let's get a closer look. FD04 screws, the two exhaust connectors. They are made of plastic. Very nice. And the dual exhaust pipes. See, they are hollowed out. Let's get started. Brought over the rear part of the chassis with the transmission and the engine mounted on it. And we're going to mount up this connector here. And they say to push hard on it. There we go. That looks good there. Mount up the other side, same thing, line it up. And there you go. They're both connected up. Now we'll put on the dual exhaust onto it. And it's going to insert into those, plus mount on this peg right here. There we go. Mount it up. That's how that looks. It is mounted up all the way, pushed in. FD04 screw goes into this. I did lubricate it. And that's secure there. That's good. Give you a close-up here what the exhaust system looks like. Very nice. Like I was saying, on this car, the exhaust system is actually black. I may do a little bit of weathering off camera a little bit later. And that's all I do with stage 83. Let's head over and do stage 84. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 84. Stage 84, this is part 1 of the distributor. So we received the parts for the distributor cap itself, and 4 of the plug wires. They want us to actually hook up the plug wires to the cap, just to 4 terminals, and that's what we have there. Let's get the parts and I will be right back. Here's parts for stage 84. Let's get a closer look. Here's the parts, the 4 plug wires, and they're all the same length, and the distributor. Now, I'm not actually going to do anything this stage because I'd rather hook them up to the spark plugs on the cylinder heads first and then plug them into the distributor a little bit later. Plus, I want to go ahead and look at the firing order on the distributor first to see how they'll actually plug in there. The instructions don't identify that, and it really doesn't matter if you don't care to do that. You can just follow the instructions like they say. They say just plug it on any of the connectors on the cap itself, but I want to do it in a proper firing order. So I'm going to look that up, and then we'll get started on this after. I think it's around stage 85 is when we actually start doing this. Maybe the cylinder heads get put on stage 86. So we'll look at that. We'll look to see when the wires get plugged into the spark plugs themselves on the cylinder heads in what stage. So that's all I do in 84. Let's head over and do 85. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 85. Distributor part 2. Plug wires and the ignition's cable plus some screws. So in this case, they want us to put the other 4 plug wires on the distributor cap and then secure the distributor down onto the engine itself. And you can see that there. And then we go ahead and start hooking up the wires to the plugs on the cylinder heads. And they don't really give us any specific order on doing this. So I actually want to do that first and then bring them over to the distributor. So I'm going to hook them up to the spark plugs first and then plug them into the distributor. I'm going to look for the firing order for this. There you go. Let me get the parts and I will be right back. Here's the parts for 85. Let's get a closer look. FD01 screws, the ignition wire, and the other 4 plug wires. The instructions want you to route the wire through the exhaust, just like that. And then after it's routed through, you mount it to the little tab that's sticking up here on the cylinder head. I went ahead and super glued it. And really feed it through after. So for example, this one right here, already super glued in place. And I'm going to go ahead and feed the spark plug wire through the exhaust to come out the other side. I did remove the wheels and tires right here just to make it easier to install those spark plug wires, because these are quite heavy and it just makes everything lighter to work with. So I would recommend you don't install the distributor just yet. Leave them out so you can attach your plug wires to it. And the distributor is going to mount right there. And just like that. And you're going to put a screw in it. You want your plug wires, you don't want them really to stick up that much. So I've been shortening them. And I have been shortening the wires. This is the number 5 cylinder, which is the first one on the left-hand side of the motor, and that's going to go beside the number 1 wire, which is already glued down. So it's going to get attached on the other side of the 1 over here on the other side. So I've already cut it, and I just need to glue it in. And all the wires are hooked into the top of the distributor cap, and I did follow the firing order for the wires. And you can see where the wires run on the left side. They are hooked in on the bottom there. Go to the other side, and they are hooked in on the other side. That looks great. Now we need to do something with the ignition wire that's left. So the ignition wire doesn't go anywhere right now. That's wire 85B, but it is glued down. And like I said, I put that on first before I put on the other wires. So that's all I do with stage 85. Let's head over and do stage 86. Let's look at the build instructions for stage 86. Stage 86, I work on the rear cooling hoses, and these are the parts here. Start with a longer single hose. We're going to attach those to the block. There's a couple of pins there. And I'll attach 86A, which is the rear cooling hose manifold, to the rear of the passenger compartment. Let me get the parts. I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 86. Let's get a closer look. And here's all the cooling hoses, A, B, and C. I went ahead and glued on the cooling hoses. So 86C, which is the longer wire here, and 86B gets glued on right beside it, and that's on top of the water pump cover. Now let me get the driver's compartment and we'll put the hoses on that. Next, I'll glue those hoses into the back of the driver's compartment. There's 2 holes there. The top one is larger than the lower one, so the hoses only go in one way. There's your hose. You can see the one is bigger than the other, and that's going to go in right there. I'm going to glue it in and I'll be right back. And there you go, glued in. That's what it looks like. And that completes stage 86. I think it looks great. Plug wires and all. Let's head over and do the final stage for pack 18, stage 87. Here's the final stage for pack 18, stage 87. Stage 87, I assemble the rear sway bars. Here you go. And these are mounted to the rear wishbones. and I'll show you that. The rear sway bar will get locked in on the rear sway bar mount on the subframe. That's what that looks like there. Then I'll install the panhard rods, both sides. That's what that looks like. Let me get the parts, I'll be right back. Here's the parts for stage 87. Let's get a closer look. FP01, FP02, sway bar mounts, all made of plastic. That's those three, and the panhard rods are down below that. Go ahead and install the rear sway bar, and here's our sway bar. You have the side with 2 jam nuts. That's going to go on towards the bottom, so that's just going to clip on there on both sides. Next, we're going to install this sway bar here, and notice it has a rise. You want to make sure that's on top, so we're going to clip that down on top of those sway bar attachments right there and right there. Then I'll flip it down, and it's going to get mounted on top of those mounts with the 2 holes that are on top. They kind of rotate there. Next, this little bracket will go on top of that and secure it down. Notice the hole there, it's going to face towards the back of the car, the back of the engine, just like that. FP02 screws go into it. And there you go, both of the screws are installed. That's what it looks like on both sides. Now we'll install the panhard bar, and when the panhard bar goes in, it's going to get screwed in right here with an FP01 screw right there on each side. Make sure that the hook here is facing up and actually goes under. Just like that. And we'll do the other side. And that completes stage 87. The panel bar and the rear sway bars look great, as you can see. And the panel bars here going out on each side. And that completes pack 18. If you haven't done so already, head over to DeAgostini Collectibles and subscribe to this car today. It's a fantastic build, and I'm having a blast building it. If you like my content, please subscribe to my channel and smash that like button. Happy modeling, everybody, and I'll see you next month.